This is Hanging Heavy.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to a long-awaited episode of Hanging Heavy. As always, I'm your boy Desecrator, and today is a little different. We're still trying to figure out what the fuck we're gonna do with Poppy's new position, so he's not here today. But for those of you that have been long-time listeners, and if you recognize this music, then you know who is about to join. But for those of you that don't, let me introduce my boy, TheeWhiteCarlton.
Yay! I missed the banjo lick doing that. God damn it.
Well, yeah, we haven't done an episode. This is going on almost 2 weeks now. But at the beginning of the month, there was a death in somebody that's near to me's family. So, out of respect, we're gonna go ahead and have a quick little 10-second of silence for that person. And with that saying that, Carlton, my boy, where have you been?
Canada land, baby.
Hiding out in them trees.
It's winter, man. We're hunkering down up here.
Well, yeah, I hear it's getting pretty goddamn cold over there right now.
It was bad a while ago. Oh, that was when my pipes went. That was cool.
Which
I
time?
guess they froze. They didn't blow.
Which time, though?
My pipes got blue balled, man.
Like
Damn.
3 times already, right?
Well, yeah.
Because there was that first time you had to go underneath and...
Oh, that was when the valve blew.
Yeah,
where
yeah.
the city water came into the house line. That one sucked because even if you shut off the house line, the city water was still going. So
Yeah.
it was like fucking all underneath the house. And I don't know how many of y'all are familiar with a crawl space, but this shit's it's a crawl space. Like you're army crawling. There's no other way. You can't be on your hands and knees doing any kind of work in there. That was a little ridiculous. But yeah, that was first go. And then I had my pipes freeze last winter. And nothing happened. And then this winter, yeah, they froze. They were frozen for almost 3 days, man. It was bad. Had heaters under there, back and forth out of the crawl space and back, days of not showering. Dude, when I was... as I went under for the last time, thinking that everything was good, when I finally got out, I was like, putting on the same just the same clothes for the last 3 days, right? Because I had to work and shit too. So, I'd go to someone else's house to shower, but then it was Christmas break. And so I had the one day where I went to work, and that was when I noticed that the pipes were frozen. And then they froze all day because I couldn't do anything about it, right? You're off to work. And then the next 2 days I was in underneath the house back and forth for, oh God, I don't know, 7 or 8 times, right? Oh, dude, it was such a mess. So first time I go under, I crawl in, and I have heaters in the crawl space because this has happened before, right? So we installed an electrical box underneath, and I had one plugged in, but the second one wasn't plugged in. And I go, oh shit, the second heater's not on. That's probably why this happened, right? So at this point, the main water's been shut off right away. So that was all good. So I get the second heater, I go to plug it in, and oh, that didn't sound good.
It
right?
fizzled
And
out?
yeah, and all of a sudden the heater that was working, that was already plugged in, stopped. Right? But the heater that wasn't plugged in, that I just plugged in, it seemed whatever, it seemed fine. But the other heater stopped, and I go, oh fuck, I probably tripped a breaker,
Yeah.
go back, crawl back out, right? And so my house is funky, man. Like the original foundations from like the early 60s, right? And they put on, I think, three different extensions. And there's at least two other foundation periods that have been slapped onto the house. And so this one piece I have to crawl through, it's where the two foundations meet.
Oh, okay.
And they had like busted out a block so that you could crawl in
So
between,
you could
right?
get through, yeah.
Dude, I don't like. I'm impressed. Whoever punched that out, like, if they could have actually fit through there, because like I'm a pretty, slender dude, and like I have a hard time, man. And now I've got another bathroom pipe going through there, like one of the poop pipes to
Ugh.
go out of the house. They're pretty thick, right? So it was already crammed. Now I've lost another like six, 7 inches
Yeah.
because of this other pipe, right? And so the way I gotta wiggle through it is I go one arm first, and I keep my head on that arm, and then you're like inchworming over, and of
Yeah.
course there's like a piece of cement at like your ribs and your waist too, right? Because they punched out the brick like in the middle, so you're not crawling like the rest of it's dirt foundation. And so you got this shit poking into your ribs. You're like inchworming your way through, and then I get to a certain point where I can switch from my side, and then I go on my stomach, and I like just squeeze my arm up and through, right, and then pull myself through, and I inchworm my way up to where like the freezing's all the worst and where my heaters are and yada yada. So imagine doing that many times, right? So I go out the first time, and right, I reset the breaker, go back under, fuck, didn't do it, right? I go back out. I'm trying to figure out like what other electrical box it might be plugged into in case the ground tripped, because they got that little ground reset button. So there wasn't one under the crawl space, and then realized it's probably tapped into my electrical box on the outside of the house. Okay, ground button had been tripped, right? Perfect. Hit the little reset, getting all stoked, go back under, still bloody off. I go, oh my goodness, right? So I come back out, and I pull the freaking heater out with me, and sure enough, like it fritzed. Like that noise that I heard was that heater just like
Dying.
yeah, it was gone. And so it's Christmas Eve at this point, and I need another heater. Like nowhere's open.
Yeah.
And so I'm calling my buddy, and he's like, "Oh yeah, man." He's like, "I got a space heater you can borrow." Well, we just had this like really nasty freezing rain incident, so the roads were fucked. Like no one's on the roads, right? And I was like, oh, okay. I'm gonna make the journey. Like, wish me luck, right? And oh, dude, that was so gnarly. I couldn't get into his driveway. My truck started like rolling back down the hill. Like fucking slammed the e-brake, kicking into like 4 low, and had to like crawl my way back up to his house, and trying to find patches that wasn't frozen and it was actual snow. And oh man. Get the heater, go back, get underneath, and this thing is like, I kid you not, like a half an inch shy of fitting through this bloody hole, right? Like vertical, it fits almost perfect, like very little wiggle room. And horizontal, there was this one little nub of foundation where they hadn't chiseled it out perfectly that it was catching on, and I'm pushing the poop pipe like as hard as I want to push a poop pipe, because I don't want that thing to blow up in my face. And this little tiny lip at the corner is like, oh man. So I could have gone up and got something and chiseled it out. I was like, you know what, screw it. I put it on blocks, I set it up right in front of the hole, and I said, F this, I'm done.
Close enough.
And when I got back out, I knew I'd have to go under one more time eventually, like as we turn the water back on to make sure nothing bursts, as like you're getting pressure in the lines again.
Yeah.
And after that time, dude, I came out of the little hole. I went outside and I jumped in the snow. And I mean, it's like we were like minus 20 degrees Celsius at this point. I don't know what that was Fahrenheit. We figured it out that one day. Maybe we should look that up. Because, dude, it's like as cold as it's ever been in my
negative
neck of the
4
woods.
Fahrenheit.
Yeah, so it was nasty, right? And so I jump out there in all my gear, and it's like a onesie, like a utility onesie kind of thing, right? I don't know what you'd call that, like coveralls.
Coveralls, yeah.
Like a one suit. And dude, I'm like literally rolling in the ice and the snow. I'm like taking part of it off and like grabbing snow and washing my body with it. I'm like, I ended up being in my boxers in freaking -20 Celsius. You're like scrubbing myself with chunks of snow, and it was so black after, dude. Like it looked nasty. Like,
Your
you
body?
know, no, the snow.
Oh, ugh.
Oh, yeah. Like if I had done a snow angel, man, it would have looked like charcoal was left behind, dude. It was so gross. And I don't know if you've ever like dealt with insulation in Texas. I'm sure you guys don't deal with much of that, but the fiberglass
Yeah,
insulation.
we have it here, but for the
Ah,
opposite, right? To keep the heat out.
right. Dude, it's so bad. Like
Oh,
it
yeah.
was just in your skin. Those little glass shards are all. I was so itchy for like 3 days after that. It was not an experience I want to deal with again, man. So, you know, yeah, that was that. I don't know how we got onto that story so quickly, but
It's where you been, man. You've been gone.
yeah, that's right. It's where I've been under the house.
I've been in the shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, fucking. I guess we're gonna keep this one short, but we recently started playing a new game on PC finally. I'm a PC gamer now.
I
Master
finally made one that
Race.
works. Yay.
Master Race.
Yeah, we chatted about my cyber power issues before, I believe, right?
Maybe, maybe not, but we'll
Anyways,
save that
Don't
for
do it if
another.
you guys are thinking about it. If you're
We'll-
thinking
we'll
about
save
it, please,
that
for the love of God,
discussion.
just don't do it. Cyber power, don't do it, man. And if you're listening, cyber power,
Fuck you.
I hope you don't get my name from this. I'm gonna send my shit back. Yee.
That's another conversation for another day, but
that's a long conversation.
yeah. But yeah, we're highly anticipating the release of a game, but we'll get more into that right now. But the game that we're playing right now is a game that's a couple years old already, but it was on
Yes, sir.
sale on Steam, and and we were looking for something just to kill time, until that game came out, and it's pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty polished. And I mean it's what you expect from Obsidian.
Obsidian,
They are pretty I mean, not that I've played many of their games, but they got a pretty good history behind them. And good storylines. And as much as I know you don't like follow the story tons, I'm trying to listen to the tapes in the game and stuff like
Nerd.
that. And it's interesting. I don't know. They got some cool
Bitch, you ain't no nerd.
storylines, right? Because what was that other one they came out with
Bitch, you ain't no
before
nerd.
this one? This sort of shorter RPG, The Outer Worlds.
The Outer Wilds.
Outer Worlds, yeah. The Wilds one is a different one. That's a time loop game. It's a British game, I believe.
Let's see, Outer Wilds. It's also. Oh no, wait, wrong one.
Yeah, The Outer Worlds, Obsidian. I heard good things about that game too. It's some people were complaining that it wasn't like a Skyrim length game. But I remember talking to a few people about it, and they're like, you know what, dude, I'm fucking 30 now. Like, I got work, I got kids. Like, I
got
don't
time for
have 12 hours a day to plug into an RPG for
Anybody
the
got time
next
for that?
however long, right?
Yeah.
Because a lot of people were beating it sort of 30 hours, and I mean, like, classically for an RPG, that's pretty short. So, that seems like the more modern RPG. As much as I'm looking forward to something like Starfield, but it can be a bit daunting, man. You're like
Yeah.
coming up on some of those games that are going to be awesome, but you're like, fuck, do I really
Do I
have to
have the
plug in
time?
100 hours
Yeah.
to this? Like,
Yeah, the one that looks pretty fucking nuts is the Dune game.
Dune. Oh yeah, I don't think I've seen like a cinematic.
Yeah, they
trailer
dropped a
for it, so-
cinematic maybe a month, 2 months ago.
Yeah. Do they have any kind of like game? Because I have no idea.
I
what
don't
it's
think
actually
so. I
gonna
think
look
that's the only
like.
thing they've released so far. I haven't been
Yeah.
keeping up with it, but
Yeah, Dune's a tough one. I haven't read Dune, but I know it's like a fairly slow-paced book at
Hmm.
times. And I know that's why they've had issues with it, with movies and all that before, because the real nerds who have read Dune, they're going, "Well, you guys
Excuse
missed this,
me.
this, 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 and that," and it's like, okay,
Excuse
well,
me, you forgot to mention.
yeah, but that really slow, tedious back history and the politics and all that,
Yeah,
that's so
yeah. Well,
hard
they're
to
they're
drive into something cinematic like a
they're
movie and keep your
super
focus, right?
they're super detailed with the history and the lore and whatnot.
Yeah, so I'm curious how that's going to be a part of the game, or whether they'll leave a lot of that as extras, right? Like the books that you find or shit
Yeah.
like that. And so if you want to get into the real nitty gritties of it, you can. But if you want to streamline it, hopefully you can too. Because I think, again, I think there's a huge market for that 30, 40 hour RPG right now, where you get a pretty fleshed out story and you don't feel like you're wasting a ton of time doing a bunch of, you know,
Bunch of
menial
dumb shit.
tasks.
Yeah.
And yeah, totally. So I don't know. And that being said too, there, it is nice that there still are RPGs that you could kill a shit ton of time in as well. And like I think Starfield's going to be a pretty big one, almost too big though. Again, it's, they talk about how there's going to be 1,000 worlds. It's like, no man, I want four.
Give me four really
Give me
detailed
four
ones.
really good worlds.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Because we played, what was that one?
No
No
Man's
Man's
Sky.
Sky. Yeah, and it was like, it was cool, and it was cool finding the different variations of worlds. But dude, there's so much just like sitting in a menu, scanning stuff, and
Yeah,
blah
well,
blah
that
blah.
and the worlds were super similar.
Yeah, for sure. And Mass Effect was kind of like that too, where there were all these different worlds, and you had to scan them, but like it didn't really do anything for you. And you're like, well, fuck, that was 20 minutes where nothing happened.
Yeah, but the game that we're waiting for, and it releases at the end of this month, hopefully, is Sons of the Forest.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why I bought my PC. When they announced the game, it was going to be PC only. So I was like, well, fuck. I might as well not buy a PS5 and buy a fucking good PC.
Yeah, we were pretty committed at that point. And yeah, I think The Forest is probably, as far as a co-op game goes, it's the most fun I've ever had.
Just in general, as a survival game, it's probably one of the best ones I've ever played.
Yeah. I
Like,
don't play a ton of them, but that
yeah, I
was
haven't
good.
played too many either, but
Oh, also, we have to disclaim that we got into The Forest after everything had been
yeah,
polished
yeah,
and
yeah.
done. We were late bloomers as
That
far as
game was
that game
already
went.
like
So
out for 4 years or whatever when we got it.
yeah, all the major updates had been done, and we got to play a pretty solid version of it, which was nice.
And to think that it was only done by fucking two people.
Was it two by the end of it, or just two to
I want
start?
to say they started with two and maybe they hired two or three more people, but I mean, a handful of people making a game
Yeah, that's
that
sick, and it's got a pretty good following.
I'm
It
starting to
feels
see a
pretty
lot of
clean.
YouTube videos lately
Yeah,
talking about how it's like underrated and it's like a sleeper game and it's like where were you guys 4 years ago when we started playing this fucking game?
yeah, and we were like late to the party then,
Yeah.
right? It's yeah. No, it's because the second one's getting so much hype, right? That's what happens. People are trying to jump on the hype
I
train,
don't
and
think anyone's hyping it though, because
I
N
think,
Night hasn't
well,
really released very many.
they don't have to, and I think that's like, some people over release stuff, and you can go, oh,
Yeah, that,
okay,
that
but
that's the
then
thing that I hate.
some people under release stuff too, and then it just gets people just talking and talking. But
Gets
the
the
stuff that they
people
have put out's
moving.
pretty fleshed out. Like they put out that the game trailer of the gameplay, and you knew pretty early on. You got a good look at the graphics updates. And anyone who already knew the game, you could see now the further polish
Yeah, how
on the
far it's
original
gone. Yeah.
Forest. So they were able to say a lot in like their two trailers they put out without really having to say anything, because you could just see it in the trailer. You're like, ooh, okay. And that's sort of what you were expecting. You're expecting kind of the Forest, but better. And
Oh yeah.
that's exactly what it looks like. It looks like the Forest, but better, like fleshed out, polished. They've got a bunch of
Bunch of new
new,
mechanics.
yeah, and not all of them are going to be implemented right away, which I'm a little heartbroken for. But it is what it is.
Oh yeah,
So,
well the the only downside is it's finally releasing. It's been pushed back, I think, 3 times.
three times, yeah.
It was supposed to come out, I think, in August of last year,
And then
or maybe
October.
May, and then they pushed it back to July or some shit, then to
Oh,
October, and then to
yeah.
February.
So
But now it's showing listed on Steam, but it's going to be released in alpha. And that's what the first one did too. They said they added a new update to the Steam page. I don't know if you've seen it. I was looking at it earlier.
I did the other day. It had finally had the system requirements, and then it also has the early access.
Yeah, well, from like the developers left some comments on like the update saying they've gone as far as they feel like they can without input from beta testing, right?
Right.
So they're trying to work on the fit and finish, right? Like the polish.
The nitty gritties,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Because I know one of the things they talked about was, uh, oh God, I'm blanking right now. Balancing, right? So it could be that like certain enemies are just like ridiculously
Yeah,
hard to
too
kill, and
too
the AI
OP.
is like too good, or I don't know, right? So it'll be interesting. I am looking forward to it,
Yeah,
and I
yeah,
am
yeah.
glad that as much as it sucks to see a game get pushed back again, this one's not, which is nice, but yeah, a little less polished version. But I mean, we've been so excited. I'm kind of on the fence of whether I want to start it. I mean, I
Yeah,
know
yeah,
I have
yeah.
to start it
I
right away,
started
but
when I was reading what the developers had put in the comments and shit. I was like, maybe we wait like a month or two.
yeah, because to me, the thing I really enjoy about these games, my big takeaway is always the exploration. Any kind of like big open world, especially with how intricate the original forest was. They had a lot of really distinct landmarks, and they had a lot of like the caving network, how you could use it as basically tunnels,
To
um,
traverse the outer world.
to yeah, exactly, to traverse the upper piece of the map. And yeah, it's for me, I turn off all my HUD markers as far as map stuff goes, and I try to memorize, right? Because I it's just something I enjoy doing.
Excuse me.
So these kind of games for me, the
Bitch, you ain't no
first
nerd.
playthrough is always the most uh, they're just what I enjoy, because you're really getting that true excitement of the unknown on your first playthrough, right? And I mean, we played the forest after beating it, and it was fun, but you definitely your what you do changes. It becomes more on like the base building, and like where all the weapons are and all that. So like you're running to spot to spot to spot every time you start the game, because you're like, I know I need this, I know I need this, I know I need this. But when you're starting it, you have no idea. You're timid and you're slow, and like you don't know what parts of the map you get like discombobulated. And like I love that shit. I love like these survival horror games where you feel legitimately lost, or like you
Horrifying.
like you don't have what you need, right?
Yeah.
My immersion. But so I don't know. I think I do still want to try it on day one and see how, if it is buggy and there is like some stuff missing, and then we go, okay, yeah, let's maybe start like a general base, right? Let's not progress too much in the
Yeah,
story,
just get
and
our
just dick
feet
around
wet.
in kind of like the kiddie pool, like, hey, let's
Yeah.
hang out in the kiddie pool for a while
Just
while they
get our
while
feet wet.
they yeah, someone peed in the big pool, we'll wait till they clean it up.
Someone pooped in the big pool.
Yeah, exactly. Let them clean the dookie, and then we'll go take the water slides. But until then, like, you wait it out, and I because I do want to play it, and I think I couldn't sit there for a month knowing that it's out and not play it. But if we go, okay, let's limit ourselves to because it's supposed to be a freaking big map.
Yeah, it's supposed
I
to be
think they were
like
saying
twice
about
the size
four.
as the first one.
I thought up to four, but I could be
Fuck.
wrong. And the first map's
The first
decently
map was
big.
pretty big, yeah.
It was like a perfect size, in all honesty, and it was a cool map. Like there was a lot of interesting stuff.
Yeah, it wasn't like just copy paste.
No, everything was unique,
Yeah.
which was really neat. Yeah, they had very specific zones with landmarks that if if the light's going down and you're looking across the water, you go, oh, hey, that's that big tree, like, or hey, there's the boat. And so you had a general census of where you were. And I like that. So I imagine this map's going to be fairly similar, but with it being so big, I bet there are going to be chunks where you're in like thick forest for a while. You're like, okay, fuck, you're really going to get turned around in some of this. So I'm excited for that too, trying to find the landmarks and orient myself and, maybe start drawing out my own map before we get any kind of mapping tools and
Yeah.
just nerd out about it a little bit.
I'm ready.
Yeah, man, me too.
Well, we've already gotten past the point that I was thinking, so I'm good with that. I want to go ahead and thank Carlton for joining.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Stay tuned for any updates, and hopefully everybody's doing well and they're in good spirits. I'm your boy Desecrator. As always, this was Hanging Heavy. Much love, and rich and rare.
This is Hanging Heavy.